Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Thank you, everyone, for joining this series. And I appreciate you all taking time and showing your passion to learn and upskill. So this is the 15-day series for the Marketing Cloud Personalization. This is intended for anybody who wants to learn personalization, market MCP. So no matter where you are in your learning journey, if you are a beginner or an intermediate learner, this is going to be beneficial for you. We have a number of sessions lined up with all the expert speakers along with the detailed demos. Little bit about me before we get started. So I am the user group leader for the Salesforce Marketers Group, Marketing Champion, and 18 times certified application architect. I'm the founder of the MC Learning Camp. And if you want to get in touch with me for any questions or any information, you can get in touch with me through these handles, the Twitter, LinkedIn, and this is the YouTube channel @MC Learning Camp. So all the sessions that have been conducted previously and all the sessions that will be conducted will be uploaded to this YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe to this to get all the notifications. So I'm so excited to bring this series to you. So we have all the expert speakers lined up and we have multiple sessions also scheduled. So we have Chris from Salesforce delivering the overview session today, followed by myself, Michelle, Sandesh, Ikat, Matish, Matthews, and Vlad. So I'll also share the schedule. So this is the schedule. So today we are kicking off, and this bootcamp is scheduled to run every Tuesday and Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern. So until September 12th, these sessions will continue for the next 15 days. And please note that these dates are mentioned as per the US Eastern time zone. And if you are in another time zone, another country, so these dates may change. It may be the next day for you. Please make sure that you register to all the sessions. I have shared the link for the group in the chat. I will share it again. And this session will be recorded and it will be uploaded to the YouTube channel, MC Learning Camp. And any questions you have in the chat, please post them in the chat window and we will address them at the end. And please share your learnings, whatever you're learning, your key takeaways on Twitter and LinkedIn using these hashtags, Moment Marketers, Marketing Champion, MC Learning Camp, and you can tag us as well. And we also have the Ask Me Anything panel scheduled, which is on September 5th. So if you have any questions that we cannot address during these sessions, if we are running out of time, yeah. I'm sorry, I missed it. Sorry about that. So this is the schedule. We have the Ask Me Anything panel scheduled on 5th of September. Any questions that are left unanswered during these sessions, you can post them. You can post all your questions in a form that I will be sharing. So we will answer these questions at the during this panel. And if you're not part of the Slack channel already, I will also share the link to the Slack channel. And with that, we have our wonderful speaker, Chris, and I will turn it over to you, Chris. And thank you very much, firstly, Chris, for accepting the invite and being so flexible and coming up to share your expertise with us. I'm so excited for this, and thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Hi, everyone. I see people in the chat. I'm going to put a wave emoji in the chat. Let's test the chat. Let's make sure it works well. I get some emojis or something in there. Actually, I just sent that to JB. Let me send one to everybody. There we go. There we go. All right. People are awake. They're here. Let me share my screen. And we will get started. All right, can everyone see a slide deck with the first slide that says MC Personalization Product Overview?
Yes, Chris. It's all clear.
Wonderful. Great. All right, so let's get started. First of all, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, JB, for organizing this and putting it together. Thanks everyone for attending. It is inspirational to see so many of you here. It is incredible to know that Marketing Cloud has this kind of community out there where people can share and learn from each other. So just thank you so much for participating. It's fantastic. This is what we call, if you've ever seen a Salesforce presentation from Salesforce, you've seen this slide. It's called the forward-looking statement. Pardon me. It's just a disclaimer that says, should we talk about anything today that is forward-looking, new features, new applications, things that don't exist yet, if we talk about any of those things, please don't make any buying or purchasing decisions on your behalf or your customer's behalf on that information. There's no plan to talk about top secret stuff today, so you shouldn't have to worry about this. What are we going to talk about today? Today, we're going to talk about MC personalization. I'm going to give a brief introduction of myself, just so you get to know me a little bit. And then I will go over kind of summary of personalization, why it exists, the problem that it's trying to solve, and then some of the key components of it, including how it works on multiple channels, web, email, things like that. Talk about the unified customer profiles within it, talk about segmentation, talk about an item catalog, talk about hot topic right now. There's lots of AI and machine learning already in the system. And then we'll talk about campaigns and templates. And hopefully, after we go through that, everyone will have a pretty good idea of what the product does. And then I'm going to take a couple minutes to talk about Partner Learning Camp and accredited professional. So there's not a trailhead certification for this, but there is an accredited professional certification. I'll talk about that at the end. And then hopefully we'll have a few minutes for questions and answers. And JB, if you need to stop me, if there's some question that you see in the chat that you think should be addressed while we're going, that's fine. Otherwise, we'll do the Q&A at the very end. But if there's something that you think would be helpful for me to stop and talk about, just stop me.
Sure, Chris. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. All right. My name is Christopher Long. I'm a senior manager at Salesforce. I work on the partner delivery success team. My role is to help enable partners and support them while they learn our products and help them get better at implementations and knowing what to do and when to do it. It is partner specific role. The team I work on, there's others besides me. We help enable partners for some specific products, including Data Cloud, Marketing Cloud Personalization, Marketing Cloud Intelligence. Those are our core products right now. Over time, products change, but personally, I am a subject matter expert in personalization. So I'm kind of responsible for helping our partners learn about this tool. So I talk about it a lot and I really like it. So I'm excited to be here today. Like I just said, I kind of work in the partner ecosphere. I live in Texas. I live in Plano, Texas. I'm not originally from Texas in the United States, but I've lived here long enough. I have to say I'm from Texas. It's been over 20 years. I'm married with 2 daughters. This is a recent picture. We just went on vacation a week ago and we took this picture. It's pretty good for a selfie, so I'm happy with it. We have 1 dog. His name's Baker. He's half German Shepherd, half lab, and he was a rescue dog that we got at the beginning of the pandemic, and he is our special boy. And finally, I love music. Just a personal thing. I love listening to it. I love making it. I love talking about it. So if you ever want to talk music with me, feel free to reach out and we can do that. But enough about me. Let's talk about personalization. Oh, there we go. Okay. So the products we make at Salesforce are intended to solve a problem. So I kind of want to set the stage by talking about the problem that Marketing Cloud, or the challenge that Marketing Cloud Personalization is trying to solve for. So it's a very common scenario, whether you are a partner in helping customers or you work directly for a customer, you're trying to solve this common scenario of having data about your users, your customers in many different places. And those places, well, we'll call them silos for the sake of this slide, but those places are not all connected. So you know things about your users when they're on a website. You know things about your users when they're opening emails, or if you have a data warehouse, you have an analytics tool. You know things about these people separately in all these different places. So that's the challenge, is how do I bring what I know about them in different places together? And if I can't do that, I don't really have a very good understanding of who this person is in totality, which means when I speak to them, when I'm trying to communicate with them, it's going to be very inconsistent, and I'm not going to speak to them like I know them, which is, we've shown in survey after survey, people appreciate it when you can speak to them and know things about them. Have the context, really. So what is the goal of personalization? It's to solve this. It's to connect those previously disconnected silos of information. It's to create a clear, unified customer profile, to create this picture. And then once you have this picture, and this last part, this third part of the slide, is really what personalization is meant to do. Connect everything, create a clear picture of your customer, but the real value in personalization is being able to recommend things in real time and have them be valuable, insightful recommendations. How do we do that? How do we recommend things in real time? Well, we use Einstein. So there's two types of machine learning or AI within the platform. I'll break them down a little bit more further on in the presentation, but the one that just does recommendations is called Einstein. This all begins or builds upon a base of capturing insights. So personalization as a tool allows you to send in like real-time interactions from different channels. So if someone does something on the website, I can send that into personalization. Somebody does something in a custom app, we can send that into personalization. Once I have those interactions, I start understanding who this person is and the things they like. And then I want to recommend something to them. And that's where AI comes in. It uses that information, that profile, and then it looks at your product catalog and it figures out what to recommend. And then kind of what brings it all together is the campaign system, which lets you define an audience. So if somebody meets this criteria, I want to show them something in a certain channel. And as with most Salesforce products, you have the ability to test campaign experiences against each other. So you can iterate and make campaigns better. This slide is the real-time pipeline. It's kind of the secret sauce. It's what happens to an interaction through the system. So I'm going to talk about it and we're going to walk through it. I'm going to start on the side where it shows the different channels. So the example here is a website. It's a mobile app. Server-side integration. So server-side is just an API where you can send events. But a good example of a system that might use a server-side integration might be a point of sale system. Or another example of just another channel would be email. So the idea is the customer does something in one of those channels. That event, what they did is then sent into the pipeline, the personalization pipeline. The very first thing the pipeline tries to do is it looks for an identifier. We call them identity attributes in Marketing Cloud personalization. If a identity attribute was sent into the system along with the event, along with what they did, such as an email address, the system is going to try and find an existing profile that has that email address. And if it does, then it's going to get that profile. So if this event is the first time someone has come, that's going to happen right away. And if there isn't a profile, but you send in an identifier, it will create a profile. If perhaps you've been doing many things, but you weren't sending in an identifier, so you were doing things anonymously, the system, like events still come into the pipeline, but they're going to be tracked against an anonymous profile. And it's not until you send in an event that updates the flow with an identity attribute that all of that anonymous information will then get merged into a known profile. We'll talk more about anonymous versus known, but that's kind of the first step is, was there an identity attribute? Yes or no? Did I find a profile? Yes or no? And then it moves on to the next step, which is augmentation and profile updates. So were there any was there more information that came along with the event? Was there an update to a user attribute? Like maybe along with the event, maybe an email address was sent, but also first name or a birthday. Was that sent along with the event? If it was, the profile record in the system will get updated. After that, stats and attribution happen. So think of a common stat as, did I view something or did I click something? That's the next step. So in the event, what happened? What did I do? That gets logged in the system. After that, segmentation. Okay, so I know who this person is. They've done something. I know some things about them. Do I have any segmentation rules that this person now qualifies for? And if so, put them into a segment. The user profile store is just the place, where all the customer profiles live. So it's saying that now the user profile store will know about the segment this person is in and things like that. And other channels can update the user profile store. You can load and batch files like through FTP. You can use the API. There's just different ways to update that store. But in the flow of the pipeline, the store is updated right after segmentation. Okay, so that's kind of the first part of the journey. And I know this might be a little boring, but it's going to make sense while I'm explaining the whole thing in just a second. So we've done the first part of the pipeline. Somebody did something in a channel. It's sent to MCP. We figure out who they are. We update their profile. We track what they did. We put them into a segment. Okay, now what? Now we're going to go work on our way back out of the pipeline. That was all in. Now we're going to work on our way out. Targeting. So when you learn more about how to create campaigns and personalization, the very first step in a campaign is to target it. Who's going to see it? Who should see it? Because you don't want everyone to see every campaign. Or if you have a campaign that everyone sees, maybe you want certain people within it to see it differently. So maybe there's a certain segment you want to change something a little bit about the experience. You do all that through targeting. So now that we know all these things about this person, we're going to target the campaign. So are they eligible for a campaign? If they are, the next step in the pipeline is going to figure out what does that campaign do? Is it a recommendation? If it is a recommendation, it's going to talk to the system and it's going to use our AI or our machine learning to get a smart recommendation. If it's that kind of campaign, that's where that happens. And then finally, the last step is it sends back out to the channel where the interaction first came in. We send back out a campaign response, a recommendation. So if the campaign is, for example, trending products on the website. So if I am looking at the website and somebody did, let's say they view a certain product and the campaign is, okay, if anyone views this product, I want to show a block of other trending products that are like this product. That is the output of the pipeline. And so maybe the website actually changes and it shows the recommendation. All right. That was a lot. That was a long journey to get through the pipeline. So think about everything that happened. All of that happens in less than 30 milliseconds. So from the point the interaction left the channel and entered the pipeline, all of the pipeline stuff happens in less than 30 milliseconds, and then the recommendation comes out. It's an extremely fast system. So that's really the point of the slide, is to let you know like the process of things and the order of events, and then it is very quick. It's very quick to recommend. All right, channels, multi-channel. So personalization is a multi-channel tool. What does that mean? Already talked about it. You can collect events from many channels. So web, email, server, anything you can think of basically. And then you can activate back out to all of those channels. But it's not a one-to-one system. It's not, I know things that you did on a website, and now I'm going to recommend something to you on the website just based on those things. It's painting a picture of a person through all of those channels. I may activate out only to web, but the recommendation that's coming back is based on everything I know about you in all the other channels. So let's talk about the channels. A very popular common use case is to integrate a website with the Web SDK. The Web SDK works in a couple different ways. You can install the script and you can actually, the customer can change, like add code to their website to send events through the SDK. That is one way to use it. Another way is where the customer doesn't have to change anything. They still load the script, but you write a special script called a sitemap that gets loaded in, and it does the sending of events, and it uses the SDK and an API. But in general, all you need to know is that there's a way to integrate with a website. You can track what someone's doing on the website, collect that information in real time. So I clicked, I viewed an item, I clicked a button that can come in the system in real time, and then I can render experiences back out to the website in real time. Mobile applications, same exact concept, except think of this for native mobile apps. We have a native mobile SDK for Android, a native mobile SDK for iOS, Apple, and it's the same exact kind of paradigm. So I'm going to listen, I'm going to track events, I'm going to build a profile and understand that person, and I'm going to make a recommendation back out. Data feeds. While we talk a lot about real time, we have many data feeds, so just files with information that you can upload to. Most of the scenarios are to supplement information you have. So an example would be, I've collected a user's email address off a website in real time. So I have a profile with that user's email address. So I kind of know who that person is. But maybe in Marketing Cloud, I know a lot about that email address. I have many other data points. I know that person's first name and their birthday and all kinds of things. But that information is a Marketing Cloud. Well, on a scheduled basis, I can load a file or export a file out of Marketing Cloud, import it into Personalization, and then Personalization will find the profile that previously just had email address and update it with all this extra data. So then I can have campaigns based on the extra things I know about someone that maybe I didn't collect in real time. Other examples of ETLs, there are many. You can load in transactions, so purchases and things like that. That's really kind of the main event ETL, and all the other ETLs are importing more static data, like a product catalog and things like that. An API. So an API, it's a very boring slide. It's code, it is what it is, but it's very powerful. So this is what enables other systems like a point of sales, things that are kind of out of the ordinary realm of marketing to interact with personalization.
I think Deepak has completed with the development and everything. Yesterday I completed with the test class as well. He is
Sorry about
currently
that,
creating the
Chris. I'm going to
package.
unmute.
That's okay. I wasn't sure if it was a question or not.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris. Sorry about that.
Very good. No, it's okay. I was trying to listen very carefully to see if I needed to answer about the test classes. That's okay. Not much more to explain about the API. If you're familiar with Marketing Cloud development, you know they have APIs. This is just another API that you can use with Personalization to send events in. I guess that is one thing I could be a little more specific on. The API that exists is primarily for sending in events. It's not for everything under the sun. It is to track events from a channel. Salesforce integrations. So we consider Salesforce a great channel to work with Personalization. Many integrations. One is directly with CRM. There's a managed package you install. It allows you to sync data from Salesforce to Personalization. So if a profile exists in both platforms, and if there's information in Salesforce and core and sales or service that doesn't exist in MCP, you can update MCP profile with that. Going the other direction from MCP to Salesforce, you can send information only Personalization would know about, like their engagement score and Personalization segments are in, things of that nature. There is also, with the managed package, it unlocks many features in core. So there are widgets that you can add to contact records that show things like the user's affinity from Personalization, and segments are in. There is a interaction with flow now. where I can trigger something with flow in core, and I can update things in real time in personalization. That is very powerful. It's very new. So lots of interesting use cases are being ideated right now. Very powerful integration. Marketing Cloud Engagement is the tool that sends messages on behalf of personalization. So personalization by itself cannot send messages, but that's half the battle when you want to activate against campaigns. You need to be able to communicate, and that's where Marketing Cloud Engagement comes in. So MCP uses Marketing Cloud Engagement to send emails, to send. It can use it. Basically, anything you do in Journey Builder is how you would trigger messages out. And then finally, Experience Cloud. There's a solution kit, because an Experience Cloud website is a little bit different than a traditional website. So it requires a special solution kit to work with Marketing Cloud personalization, but that does exist. So I just wanted to call that out. Those are all of the channels. How are we doing so far? Before I move on to the next section or section.
Chris, I have a few questions in the chat window.
Yeah.
Is it possible to send more personalized attributes in real time from website to Marketing Cloud journeys?
Yeah, that's what triggered campaigns are for. Yes. So if you're familiar with the product, the early days of personalization, you could just send a segment with a few attributes. But last year, triggered campaigns were released, and you can customize what attributes will leave personalization and be put into a data extension in Marketing Cloud when an event triggers it. So yes.
Thanks, Chris. And the next one, are the engagement scores accurate, and will that be based on the org? So the scoring weightage, is it on opens or it can be on clicks as well?
Could you say the last part? I understood the engagement part, but not the last part of the question.
The scoring weightage given, is that only based on the opens, or will that be based on clicks as well?
Gotcha. So the engagement score in personalization is not like a lead score in core. It's its own thing specific to personalization that tries to tell you how engaged a customer is with all of your channels, but it's customizable. Like, you decide what the criteria is to increase an engagement score. So it's really up to you. And then it's in the documentation, there's some rules, it's called decay, on how long that score stays high. So once they stop doing things, that score will start to come down automatically. That's
clear. Thanks for the detailed information, Chris. So yeah. I see another question about how the integration is done between the CRM, the Salesforce CRM, to the Marketing Cloud personalization. Is it through the Marketing Cloud or directly to the CRM?
It's all API based behind the scenes. So Marketing Cloud personalization, you will create an API token, and then you'll set up a named credential in core. But once you've done that, then you just install a package in core to get the features going both ways.
Thanks, Chris. So we're going to look at it in detail in the next upcoming sessions. And these are the questions for now, Chris. We can go ahead with the next one.
Very good. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about unified customer profiles. So this is an important concept in personalization. The system wants to know when somebody does something, but you don't always know who that is. So personalization will create an anonymous profile and track interactions. And that is all cookie based. So while that cookie is alive, that profile stays with that user in that browser. If that user sends in an identity attribute, which I talked about earlier, that profile, all that information of what they did when we didn't know who they are, will be moved to a new profile where we know who they are. And then it's that same process over again. So let's say that happens. So I go from anonymous to known, and then I delete my cookies. And a week later, I come back. Well, I'm going to get a new anonymous profile. It's not connected to anything. I'm going to track information. But if I identify myself again, The new anonymous information will then be merged into the known profile where I had previous anonymous information and known information, and it all will live in one profile. So on those profiles, you can have custom attributes. That's really all that top line means, is you can add custom attributes. There is a concept personalization of profile objects. So objects that belong to a user that is not really them. So a good example would be like, maybe it's a credit card. Maybe you want to know the credit card someone has, and that object can have its own attributes. Another example would be maybe the customer has Service Cloud and personalization, and maybe they want to know about the Service Cloud cases in personalization. Well, you could add a profile object for a case on users that has the details from the case. So you could maybe have special personalizations for people that are going through support right now, things like that. Conversions show up on a user profile. So what did they look at? What did they buy? Personalization works for industries other than just retail, but retail is a popular one for personalization, kind of for obvious reasons. And then again, behaviors. How long did I look at something? How many times did I click on something? Campaign stats, how well is my campaign doing? Things like that. Merging cross-channel IDs. I kind of already explained this. I mean, the idea is that there's a known profile system and that you use what we call identity attributes. And identity attributes have to be unique values. That's very important to understand. You can't have an identity attribute where there's a possibility that someone can have the same value. So you can't, if you know in your customer system that they let people share email addresses, well, then you cannot use email address as an identity attribute. It just doesn't work. So that's really kind of one of the key things to understand about making sure your merging of profiles will be successful, is that your identity attributes have unique values. But multi-channels, like you can have more than one identity attribute. So let's say we have 3 identity attributes. Let's say we have an email address, we have a customer ID, and maybe we also do phone number. So let's say when something comes in from mobile, we're able to send customer ID and mobile address. When something comes in from a website, we're able to send email address and customer ID. Well, we're going to be able to merge the activity from those channels based on customer ID. It's kind of a simple concept once you get into the weeds, but it makes the system really powerful. This is what it looks like. Assuming we have time at the end, which we should, I'll open the app and we can also look at the app, but this is what a customer profile traditionally looks like. There are different widgets at the top. I know a lot of people like this color wheel. That's just one graphic that you can have up there. You can have engagement score instead. There's this timeline of these colored dots. That's just a timeline of events. The user attribute, or the user detail screen that has all the user attributes. And then you have different tabs. So you can see what segments they're in, what actions they've taken recently. Event stream is similar to actions, but it's like the order of events coming in. Affinity, like what categories do they like, things like that. And then on the right is a visual of what they're doing. Like if I scroll down, I would see older events. All right. That kind of worked well last time, stopping after the section for questions. JB, I don't know if were there any more questions? Yeah.
Thank you. So I see 2 questions. When adding subscriber key to URL parameters in email, can we suppress or flag as internal during review processes?
It's a very specific question. You could if you wanted to. I don't know if suppress is the correct term in what you can do, but kind of big picture, just solution in general, you don't want to use identifiers that your customer isn't comfortable with passing. So you wouldn't want to put an identifier in a query string that your customer doesn't allow you to do. So what a lot of people do for personalization is they'll make an identity attribute for the Marketing Cloud subscriber ID. So I don't know how familiar everyone is with just Marketing Cloud engagement, but when you have a subscriber key, there's also a randomly, well, maybe not random, but a uniquely generated key that goes with every record. So you could send that instead, and then you're able to tie things back from Personalization Marketing Cloud. But if you wanted to ignore a user, basically not track them, so if you have a test user, there are many ways to do that. There's an entire, well, entire makes it sound like it's big. It's not that big. When you initialize a sitemap for a website, so that's the script that Personalization runs, part of that initialization is just consent. Did this person give consent to be tracked? You could have a query string parameter along with whatever the tester ID is or subscriber key is, and the sitemap will just check for that parameter before it initializes anything. So it will check for consent. If no consent is given, nothing gets tracked, and therefore your test user would not show up. You could also, because the sitemap is used, it's written in JavaScript, you could just write a JavaScript that says if this parameter is in the URL, don't do anything, just kind of stop. So that's a possibility too.
Thanks, Chris. That's so helpful. I see a lot of questions again regarding the usage of Marketing Cloud personalization. The question is, can it be used for universities? How can it be used if so? And for retail industry, it is mostly used, but for universities or the pharma industries, how is this tool helpful?
Sure. That is a very difficult question to answer on how is it helpful, because you need to know what the customer's struggles are. You're trying to solve a business problem for your customer. So what is the university trying to solve for? What is the pharmacy trying to solve for? We definitely have customers in both industries that use this product. So I wouldn't just get personalization. I wouldn't just sell it. Like if you're in the selling motion, I wouldn't just sell it to everyone. I would try and understand if they have any real-time problems they're trying to solve. And not just real-time problems, but real-time recommendations. Like, are they trying to understand, like for a university, for instance, maybe the university has a scheduling system. So you could begin to learn how people, what classes are popular. Is it seasonal? And do geographical regions, when people look at the scheduling system, influence how they, the classes they choose? How far away do they live? Like all of these things you can start to learn about people, and then you can make recommendations back to them about classes that other people who are in similar lifestyles find valuable. So it really depends on business problems or business challenges, and are these things of a real-time nature? Personalization is not a Google Analytics type product. It's not an Adobe Analytics type product. You don't get it just to collect information and then have reports. It's not going to be valuable to you. You're not going to get your money's worth. What you need are real-time use cases. I need to do something in real time. So if someone does something and I'm right then, I need to activate something. That's what personalization is for.
That's a great point, Chris. I see another question regarding the engagement scoring. So is that customized under setup in MC? And another question related to that is, any account who has not opted in for global data, how will the score be impacted?
In an account where someone is not opted in, so hasn't given consent?
Yeah. How will the score be impacted in that case?
They would, if they haven't given consent, they won't have a profile, so there will be no score. So no consent equals no tracking equals no profile equals no score.
Wonderful. I think those are the questions for now, Chris.
Okay. All right. Well, segmentation is easy to talk about. Like, I would assume most everybody is dealing with marketing in some way or data in some way who's on this call. So segmentation is exactly what it sounds like. You can put people into segments, and then you can target campaigns based on those segments. The rules are outstanding. The segment builder is outstanding. And 42, I might need to hurry this along, so maybe we can look at it. But just in general, know that you can create segments. Those segments can be used to target campaigns. Item catalog. So there is this whole kind of circle that happens with personalization. So someone does something, we learn about them, we recommend something back to them. Like that's kind of the goal of personalization. So in order to recommend something, you have to have something to be recommended. That is where the item catalog comes in. So we call it an item catalog. You might think of products. Yes, there is a special object called products, and you can put a price on it, and a URL and an image URL and things like that, traditional retail things. But you can also recommend other objects. There's a blog object that could be your catalog. You could build a library of blog articles and recommend those. So just important thing to understand is that to recommend something, there have to be things to be recommended. And that is the item catalog. And they are collected in a couple different ways. You can build a catalog just by loading in files. You can scrape a website or send in with certain view item events, information about a product that could load it into the catalog. So there's a couple different ways to build a catalog. Important thing to know is there is a catalog. Recipe. So this was earlier I was talking about two types of kind of machine learning. There is the recommendation system where I return multiple things. So I could return 4 things or 6 things or 8 things that fall into some rule that I've set. That is Einstein recipes. And you have, you configure those different ways. I'll go through them in a second. Then the other type of AI, a recommendation engine, is Einstein decisions. And that is for specifically for what we call promotions. So we're going to show one thing, a promotion. And the machine learning is, or AI is basically figuring out what thing to show you. Recipes, you put in, to build one, you put in what are called ingredients. So just all the different pieces that help machine learning figure out what items will be returned in a recommendation. Different ingredients, all of this is documented on help.salesforce. Filters, so exclusions and inclusions of items based on certain things. Boosters, do I want to raise a certain kind of thing up over other recommendations? And then variations are things like, I only want to show one of something. So I might have a recommendation of 4 things, but I only want to show one that is in the category of sports, for example. Promotions. So this is a system, it's configured totally different than the recommendation system. This is very much a more traditional AI kind of thing. You have a feature engineering screen where you're checking all kinds of boxes about, you know, what device is the user on? Do I care about that? Things like that. And then it looks at everybody and all the promotions being assigned and figures out very quickly. Einstein promotions is, or yes, promotions is a very good recommender. So it figures out very quickly the best promotions. Like you have to build up a bank of different promotions, but it figures out the best one to show individuals. All right, I'll pause there. Maybe do a few more. Actually, 11. We've got 14 minutes. I'm going to keep going, JB. That's okay, because I do want to try and show the app. All right, so web campaigns. I just want to give one example for one channel of how to make a campaign. Web campaigns in particular, kind of a multi-piece thing. There's the developer piece of getting visually correct the things you want to recommend, and then there's the business piece of the rules for the campaign. There are global templates in the system for these web campaigns. So out of the box, you get many global templates, so you don't have to code anything. And we'll take a look. I'm going to try and be quick. We'll take a look so you don't have to code anything. You can make custom templates. So if you want a certain thing to show up on a website in a certain way, you can do that. There we go. A web template, web campaign is a couple different pieces. The first thing you have to do is define an area on a website of this area is the area that will be personalized. That's called the content zone. It's just an area. You just define it. The template is what shows up on the website. So I might have a template that says all the items need to have, like, their name needs to be in this font, things like that. So that's the template. Visually, how do things manifest on the screen? And then finally, there's the campaign, which are the different experiences. So if I'm in a certain segment, maybe I get a different set of recommendations than somebody else. And that is all based on the campaign experience, which is the business user. Now I feel like I'm racing because I want to show it. To summarize, personalization is a tool that lets you send in real-time events from any channel. It collects those events and it starts to build a unified customer profile so you understand things about the person. So no matter what channel I'm in, I know the same things about this person all the time. And then that allows me to make recommendations in real time and one-to-one experiences that matter to this person and will be better received. So let's see if I've timed out. Oh, I timed out. All right, hold on one second. Pardon me.
Thank you, Chris. No worries.
You know what? We're just running out of time. This is taking longer than I thought. So I really want to talk about accredited professional. So let me get that going again. And if maybe if we can squeeze in one of your other sessions, I can come back and maybe show the product.
I can do that, Chris. We
yeah.
can cover about the accredited professional, or your wish as you like it. You want to cover it this time and maybe the demo in the next session. That's also
yeah,
fine.
yeah. I'd like to talk about professional today, and then in a different session, if you'll have me, I'll come back and I can just do or just make a recording. We'll figure it out.
Definitely, Chris. Thank you.
You bet. So as mentioned previously, I work with partners. I help train them. We have a pocket guide. So if you're on this call and you're a consultant for a partner company, you can go to this pocket guide. It's public. If you're not a partner, pocket guide is still public. You won't be able to get to all the resources, but maybe there's something in there you can use. And this will be shared. So don't worry about copying down the license. Also, if you're a partner, we have an online system called Partner Learning Camp where you can log in, take courses. There's an entire curriculum dedicated to marketing cloud personalization where you can learn the product hands-on with a partner demo account. Also, only for partners, there is a certification for personalization. There's an accredited professional program we have where this is only for partners, but it's very much like a Trailhead certification. So you can become accredited in personalization if you work for a partner. If you do not work for a partner, but maybe you work for a customer, Trailhead Academy offers a 3-day virtual, like they're all-day sessions, learning experience that is very similar to the training and partner learning camp. So you get a very similar experience with content, but you get a live person. It's a great training if your company wants to send some people through this activity. All right, we got there. We still have 10 minutes. I want to make sure also we had time to answer questions. So I'll stop there. Thank you all so much.
I don't see many questions, Chris, because you have been covering them in between.
Okay.
Only one question I see here is, can we integrate multiple websites with MCP?
Yes. Yes, you can. It's not that simple because there's a lot of rules that go along with that. What domain are they are they on? So because we share a cookie, so there are rules around that. You might have more than one website, but in personalization, should they be in the same place? You can make different data sets in personalization for each website if you choose. Personalization also supports a localization. So you wouldn't need a different data set probably for different languages. You might be able to have one data set and we can handle different languages inside of it. So the answer is yes, and there's a lot to be considered.
Thanks, Chris. And I see some general questions about if some org is a partner and how can they get access, or where can they find all the information? I know there are some chat groups and Slack channels as well. If you want to highlight any of those which are like have all the information all together, can you please share that information?
For partners?
Yes, Chris.
Yes, so that's the Pocket Guide. The Pocket Guide has everything that we offer in that document. So when the deck gets shared, you can just go to this link, get to the Pocket Guide, and everything in there. If we have a Slack channel, it's in there. If we have anything at all, it will be in the Pocket Guide.
And also, I just want to make sure with you, if an org is a partner, they can request for the personalization access. So that will be valid forever, right? As long as the MC org has the validity, the personalization also will be valid. Is that correct,
Yeah.
Chris?
That's a great question. So personalization, you cannot get an individual demo or dev account for Marketing Cloud personalization like you can for like Salesforce Core. It has to be part of the company's Marketing Cloud demo org. But yes, if you're a registered Salesforce partner, any company can request a Marketing Cloud demo org. It's free, but you still have to go through a process, like a formal process, where someone with signature power has to sign a contract to get it. But yes, so your company gets the Marketing Cloud demo account. If they have that, then they can request personalization be added to it.
Thanks, Chris.
And then the admin for your Marketing Cloud account will add all the users for personalization.
Yeah, I see more generic questions. I'm reading through them. Okay, some generic questions about the course numbers. So I just want to share that on the Partner Learning Camp, you can search by the Marketing Cloud, getting started with Marketing Cloud personalization course. You can search on the name. And if at all any information is available, I will share in the description of the video that will be that I will be uploading to the YouTube channel. So the Pocket Guide and any other links, the trailhead links and all the other useful information, you can find them on the uploaded video description area. And I see a few other questions. So these are related to the topics that will be covered in the next sessions. We will try to cover them. And if at all these are not covered, you can post them in the form that I have shared for the Ask Me Anything panel. So this is the session that is specifically dedicated to clear all your answers. If at all we do not have time and we cannot cover these during these sessions, we still have time to cover them in the Ask Me Anything panel. So I have shared that form link. I will share one more time. So you can fill that form and we will address them at the end of this series. I think that is all, Chris. There are a few other questions, but we can handle them in the next sessions or during the Ask Me Anything panel. I have the chat saved, so I will make a note of all the questions as well.
Okay. If you'll allow me, just for 2 minutes, I was able to get in. I can show the product. Is that okay?
Wonderful. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay. So if you didn't already know, it's inside of the Marketing Cloud. You log into the Marketing Cloud. It has to be purchased by your customer. Personalization would then be added to their account. You would open it. This is what it looks like. You open up to a dashboard of campaign activity, all kinds of different reports. One of my favorite reports is called an event stream, where you see interactions in real time of all the users coming in through all the different channels. Then your different campaigns are all managed per channel over here on the side. Catalog, as we mentioned, where you can see the things that can be recommended. Promotion management, Einstein recipes, where you build out your algorithm, so to speak, of what to recommend. You put in all your ingredients, and there's a testing mechanism, like an engine that allows you to test what will be recommended for your different ingredients. Feeds, this is where you load in files, and then typical things like settings and security and things of that nature. So I at least wanted to show the product once, just so everyone kind of has a visual they can walk away with.
Great, thanks much, Chris. Yeah, I think those are all the questions. I have a few more questions, but we can address them in the upcoming sessions. And thank you very much, Chris. This is so detailed and helpful. And I thank everyone for joining. And before we leave, so I want to pick one winner of Salesforce certification voucher. So I have Jacob. He has been answering the questions in the chat. So I appreciate you for the initiation, Jacob. So you can get a Salesforce certification voucher. Please get in touch with me. I shared my handles. You can get in touch with me on LinkedIn, or I will also, please share your email ID, then I will get in touch with you. And congratulations, Jacob. So we have few Salesforce certification vouchers that we are giving away in each session. The criteria, I will make sure that I update it at the beginning of the session. So this time it's a surprise. So please continue to attend the next sessions, and we hope you will learn and you will be experts by the time we end these sessions. Thank you, everyone. Thanks once again, Chris.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for coming.
Bye, everyone.